Chaz Berenato, head coach for St. Augustine boys tennis. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, Sully. How are you doing?
What's happening, bud?
Not too much. Just soaking in all the excitement.
Yeah, I wanted to get you on this week because I was out there Thursday at the Cape Atlantic League Championships, and really kind of a crazy thing happened. It was all St. Augustine, all 6 guys in the single and doubles championships were all from St. Augustine Prep, so kind of an interesting day for you as a coach. I mean, here you are. Most coaches are trying to get one kid into the finals and coach him up, and now you have to coach brother versus brother, doubles team versus double team. You don't really have a rooting interest, so take us through that day and what it was like for you as a coach.
Well, it was exciting going into it. It's very rare to see the finals of the singles get where it's both the same team. The doubles, it has happened before. Last year it happened where both my doubles were in the finals. But for the singles, it's very, very rare. I knew going into it that it was going to be probably an emotional day for some of the kids competing against their teammates, possibly taking a loss that they wouldn't have been too happy with. But I was just trying to compose them mentally, remind them that they're playing their teammates, and it's supposed to be a fun day because this is a very, very rare experience that they're going to have. So just enjoy the moment, look next to you, see a prep uniform, look on the other side of the net, see a prep uniform, and just enjoy that moment. I wanted them to kind of be present while they were out there playing and realize what was going on around them and how good of a team they really had, as opposed to dwelling on the competition and worrying so much about winning as an individual. Look around and just soak in the moment and just be very happy that you're a part of such a successful and dominant tennis team. Because as long as I've been playing, I have never seen a tennis team top to bottom that's really this strong. So it was definitely an exciting day.
And first I want to talk a little bit about the singles championship and what a performance by Phil Ritchie. He had to go up against Vince Coro. And Richie, Richie here, really interesting story with him. Wanted to give our listeners a little bit of background. Phil had missed pretty much all of last year after a match or two with a broken wrist, so kind of wiped out season. Comes back this year, and obviously in high school tennis, you kind of have to play challenge matches earlier in the year to see who your number 1, 2, and 3 singles players are going to be. So he ends up as the 3rd singles player. Vince and Mike Junta beat him out for those top 2 spots. So he plays the entire year as 3rd singles. Now, he's probably good enough to be the number 1 single on every other team in the Cape Atlantic League. So he didn't get a ton of competition at 3rd singles throughout the dual meet season. Comes into the Cal Championships and wins it all as a 3rd singles player. First time ever, I believe that's happened in Cal history. But like you and I talked about after the match, I mean, those top 3 guys are so interchangeable. It wasn't like he was, a 20th seed in the tournament coming in there.
Right. And that was something that I told Phil going into it, that should give him a lot of confidence. He's playing his best tennis right now. In March, coming into the season, he definitely was still developing some things from last year. I could say he broke his left wrist last year, and even though the cast was off by summertime, I could still see a hesitation through him over the summer. And then when we came back this year for the summer or for the season, I could definitely see that he gotten stronger. He told me he was doing a lot more push-ups in the off season, but his game still needed a little bit of cleaning up. And it goes to show how hard he has worked, because early in the season, playing the challenge matches, he definitely didn't have the offensive game that was ready to compete against Vince and Junta, my 2nd singles. They just hit the ball a little bit harder, and Phil needed to develop a little bit more of an aggressive game. So the last 6 weeks, he's really trying to come to the net. And you're right, in the dual matches, he didn't have a whole lot of tough competition, except for, a few there. He had Morristown, Haddonfield, a couple matches that gave him some good competition. But for the most part, Phil got all of his work in just practicing the reps. He was serving and volleying a lot. He was trying to come to the net off of return of serves and practicing executing points. So when he gets against really good players, it's more instinctive, and he's ready. He's ready for that style of play. So I think getting those reps in, that's what prepped him to play this tournament.
It was a little bit of an interesting strategy. He kind of knew, like, hey, I don't want to get in a shot-for-shot battle with Vince. I mean, he's such a good player and really has those, really strong forehand down-the-line shots. He said, his strategy seemed to be kind of, let me just keep getting the ball back over and force him to make mistakes and just be consistent. Like he said, be consistent in all his returns and almost kind of play a sort of a defensive offensive game, if that makes any sense.
No, yeah, absolutely. Vince right now, he's 16-2 on the season, and that's at number one singles. So he's pretty much had, and that one of his 2 losses is to the third singles and Cals. So he's definitely had a lot of success at number one as the season has gone on. And I think Phil has noticed from practice how hard Vince is hitting as opposed to compared to last year. So I think Phil didn't want to play that kind of match that he played in the challenge, where he's letting Vince hit the ball real hard in the corners. Vince has got a lot of power. And Phil, who's a fast kid, you can only be one spot on the court at one time. So he just wasn't able to cover the ground as well as he does when he opens up the court with his serve or tries to take time away from Vince by coming to the net. So you're right. It was that offense, defense, trying to take time away. And that ultimately, I think, gave Phil the edge in the singles match. It was a little bit warmer of a day, and that definitely came to a little bit of an effect. Phil was ready to be out there all day, and I could tell that he really, really wanted it. And from his serve, from a serving standpoint, he has gotten so much better on his serve in the last couple of weeks. He's hitting buckets of serves every single practice, and he wants to make sure he has it down. He really served his best match, and I think that was also a little bit of a factor as well.
His serve is nasty. I was actually surprised at how well Vince was returning at some of those serves. I mean, he was hitting rockets.
Oh, yeah. Phil gets a lot of spin, and from the years that I've seen high school tennis, I don't know a third singles who is able to hit a serve that big. And obviously, like you said, the first and only third singles to win the Cape Atlantic League individual title. That's something to be very, very proud of for him. I think that goes to show how deep the actual team is, because really any given day they can beat each other, and at practice is where they definitely get that hard work in. So it was a great match to be their coach for sure.
We're talking with Chaz Berenato. He's the boys tennis coach at St. Augustine Prep, and it was an all-prep finals, singles and doubles on Thursday at the Cape Atlantic League Championships out at Vineland High School. And, Coach, the doubles match, really interesting match because you had brother versus brother. The Berhanas, Casey and Riley, were on different doubles teams. You had Rob Ritchie, who's the brother of Phil, the singles championship. He was paired up with Riley Berhana, and Casey Berhana was with Connor Franz, one of your seniors. And man, that was it was a fun match to watch. And in the second set, those guys really got after it, and they even said it. It took them a little bit while to kind of play it like it was a championship match because it almost seemed like a practice match. But they said once got in the second set, they were like, all right, it's on now.
Yeah, for sure. I noticed that in the beginning, too. I could tell that they were a little bit nervous or they were a little bit tight. That was the first time they were actually playing for something against each other. So that was a really interesting moment for me as a coach to see how they reacted to that pressure. How long did it take them to get used to competing against their teammate for a trophy? And it was a really fun match to watch. You're right. They were playing really intense points. They were playing exactly the way that they practice. They've been really trying to close the middle of the court, take the ball early. They're trying to be very, very aggressive with their volleys and their serves. And the combination of that just leads to really good tennis on both sides of the court. Connor, he was my second singles last year. He came down into doubles, and it took him a little bit to adjust into a doubles player. He wanted to stand real far behind the baseline, hit the ball high. But he really worked on his doubles game hard. And last year I had the two Berenato brothers, Riley and Casey. They were on the same doubles team. And I felt like the chemistry, even though that they're brothers, I felt like the chemistry works out better with them playing with different partners. You know how brothers can be. There's a little bit of bickering that sometimes goes on.
Yep.
And, you can definitely see that a new energy level from last year to this year with the brothers. They definitely play better with different partners, and it was I think it brings out the best of them. So yeah, seeing them on the opposite sides of the net, it was something special. I mean, I was happy for their parents, and I was happy for the school. And
how tough was that on the parents?
Really great. Excuse me?
How tough was that on the parents?
It's got to be a tough match to watch. It's got to be a very, very tough match to watch. Tennis can be grueling at certain times without a clock, and having the match kind of be drawn out once in a while when you know that it's a real tough battle. So you can see there's a little bit of nervous energy, but I think it's more so that they go home still brothers and loving each other as opposed to who's going to win or lose it. I think they want to make sure that there's no bad energy coming home after. But it seemed like they were very, very respectful. They definitely appreciate each other's talent, and that's really all I can ask for as a coach.
It was kind of funny how the fans reacted. They didn't really call anybody by name. They would say, "Hey, good shot, court one. Good shot, second doubles." So they didn't want to show any favoritism.
Right, you're right. Yeah, it was really, really unique day to see all those prep uniforms. So, like I said, last year both my doubles were in the finals. But my singles, I had Michael Ginta. My first singles last year was playing a kid from a different school from mainland. So because of that factor, there were so many other people there from different schools that wanted to see that possible outcome. With an all prep final, I feel like there was a little bit less of a show because it looks almost like a practice out there.
Right.
So it was a really, really interesting day. I enjoyed it a lot.
So, Coach, talking with Coach Chaz Berenato from St. Augustine Prep Tennis. And, Coach, before we let you go, what's it going to take to bring home a state championship?
What a great question. What a great question.
I mean, you guys are in a really tough bracket in that South Jersey non-public A. I mean, you talk about, teams like CBA and some of those other schools.
Yeah, for sure. Last year we got beat by Christian Brothers Academy in the South Jersey final. It was a great match. We lost 4-1, but it could have easily been 4-1 us. The matches were very, very close. We got two great additions on the team, even though Vince is returning. The amount of talent that he has shown in the last year, and he's gone through a couple growth spurts, I could see that he's developed into a true number one. So he's going from first doubles to number one singles, and then Phil Ritchie coming back after the broken wrist, re-entering the lineup are two big factors in taking our push to states. It's definitely going to come down to the bottom of our lineup for sure. These big-time state schools up in North Jersey, they always have good number ones. They always have good number twos. The doubles and the depth of our team is where we're going to win a championship. It's very rare to see a complete singles sweep for a state title. So, we definitely have to get two doubles points, in my opinion, and try to squeeze out one more singles point. After that, I'm already anticipating Del Barton for the finals if we would get there, and they have a very strong team. It's going to be the exact same way. We're going to have to win with the doubles and try to squeeze out a point with the singles. And, that's going to be a fun ride. But with the depth of our team, like I said, and the talent top to bottom, I'm very confident in them at least bringing their best level on that day. And whatever the results are, they'll be.
Good stuff, Coach. We appreciate the time this morning, and congrats on the Cal Championships, and get to work on state playoffs, man. We're rooting for you.
I appreciate it, Sully. Thanks a lot.
You got it, man. Have a good weekend.
You too, bud.